Evening, guys. Good evening. I'm wearing my lab thing just because I think it looks better on me. You know, blue on blue. Isaac Bubbly, blue. Um, right now, I'm talking in this evening. One in part just because I have available time until 7 p.m. I'm trying to wait for traffic to die down. But what I'm really trying to talk about is that in my day-to-day life, I found peace. I found peace in a very consistent way. And that's pretty nice, but that's like a blessing of the world, but that's only for myself. I want you to extend my consciousness, my soul, so to speak, to yourself and to everybody who would like to see. So if you have any questions at all, we can talk about any questions that you have for me. I'm a physicist. I study physics. I'm an electrical engineer. I work on the Link 16 program, so I know how that modules work in terms of like actual components. But perhaps we won't be talking about actual educative material. This was more so meant to be a free-form expression about whatever emotions and mental conversations come to mind. And I'm surprised there happens to at least be 2 people. That's better than most. All right, guys. So we have a whiteboard, and I could potentially actually do some examples. So I'm going to try to get to that mental flow, but in a little bit. I'm listening to music on my end. Okay. Oh, dang. That reminds me. I actually have something scheduled for tomorrow in the evening. So this is sort of what I wanted to do as well. Can you confirm if aliens are real? I wish I could confirm. If I ever do have actual confirmation from the U.S. government about anything like that, I don't care. I'm the kind of person that'll be like, there's my clearance. I don't care. I'll tell you guys. And I'll tell you how it works. I wouldn't be a Bob Lazar about it. Jokes, jokes, jokes. All right. So what I'm trying to show you is that I have mastery over my day and my world. I am very comfortable, very fluid. My pens flew out, but I don't care. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you what perfection looks like, what infinite conversation, continuous exchange really is. And yes, it so happens to be the perspective of your empathetic other, your conversational friend. Because as I'm starting to learn this day, as I'm starting to learn my world, about how the world works, both economically, both, like work and stuff, I can get away with peace throughout my day if I appease everybody in my world. That is what reality is. However, it's not just showmanship. It's not just, pretending to be something you're not. And this is where the eternal soul comes in. I know that sounds a little abstract. I know that sounds a little weird. This will be posted to YouTube, so you don't have to stay for the live if you don't want to. What I'm trying to say about these abstract things is that there is a reference frame in your world, and it is your own life. It is your own lived experience. I wanted to show you how my mind breaks down my world, breaks down challenges in a 24-hour day, so then you can defeat Dios, so to speak. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference, indeed. All right, so I showed you that in order to converse, in order to become your best self, you have to be confident. You have to be able to say, like, you know what? I'm alive. I'm equivalent to this man right here, as I will show you real quick. Look at that. Who is that man? What is that thing? So, there are expressions of faith, which in my opinion are just traversals of our world. They are lessons. They are memories. So, instead of just dealing with faith and abstract memories and abstract concepts, I'm going to give you an actual schema of the world which can give you a strict advantage. I prepared this for my children, for my sons, for my future sons. Because I want perfection for everybody, not just for myself. I want you to have a peaceful life, peaceful world in your life. So, all right, we're going to break down the schema now. We're going to change songs because I think this emotion needs to now move to something more, let's see if I can do it. All right, give me some reality, some of your delta E, delta T, so I can breathe and I can think about this. I'm going to sit on this chair for my own self, for comfort, as I think about this. But in reality, you don't want to bend over. You want to keep your lungs up and open. The physical body does matter a lot as well. You do have to be comfortable. You really do have to be comfortable. People don't believe it. And then what this song is referring to is pilot breathing. You know when you're doing G's and stuff, you go like that? That's what reality is. You have to stay calm. You have to stay confident. And I love you, my friend. Thank you for being in here. All right. So, we're going to call this like the timeline right here. Oh, unfortunately, that really doesn't show up. All right. This is also another aspect of reality, being able to combat your situational world regardless. Can you do integration by parts? Yes, I can do integration by parts, but that's not necessarily, okay. Just so you can see it right there, it's a of dov, so integral of uv dv plus, or is it minus? I forgot. I think it's minus actually, because it's, you have, where you remember the plus or minus in terms of your integration by parts is how you imagine this system is being built. So you have some function u, and then you're trying to take the derivative with respect to another function. So v, and now it's very abstract when you think about this process. So we're multiplying the areas under the curve. That's what this is. So I really love the way you can think about, like, how does the derivative dv relate to the function u, the actual area under the curve? When you think about functions and integrals, about what's the actual, so what I'm trying to say about integration by parts that really matters, these parts, this is the function. The differential is the, with respect to the rate of change of this other variable. So as you've seen in integration by parts, dv is literally equal to the derivative of function v. So we write function v, let's say for now it's a very simple function x squared. If we take dv, that's going to be 2x, and then respect to the differential, so in this case it's dx. So how can you imagine some function u that has, it's technically having the differential, so the infinite slices of 2x dx. When you start imagining your integrals like this, it's literally a multiplication. And that's where what we do in physics. We break down our functions, so for us, it's simple. This process of being able to understand ideas in their most abstract form does indeed help. Perhaps that is what helps me to conquer my day-to-day life, my 24-hour day. So I want to share with you, I've done this diagram before. This is the radial distance from yourself. So r, and then we're going to call this, I think this is time. Even though in reality, you don't want to represent this as time. So this is more abstract. When I do radial coordinates away from myself, I look for events in the world. So perhaps this is time up above, but that's only for how we annotate events progressing. So around me, but that means it's respect to this plane. So I'm going to draw this circular plane now, and we're going to look at it onward. Onward. In physics, when you want to represent that we're looking onward, we show the arrow pointing in. So when the arrow is going in an arrow, you would see the cross threads, the feathering on the outside. That is how you represent in. Cross. When you want to represent out in physics, arrow tip. Just the point. You point like that. So, we're going back to my original topic. Thank you for asking about integration by parts, but that's not necessarily needed. So, in the way I construct my world, this is radius r. This is like the plane in front of me, literally what I can interact with. Right now I have this, I have myself, I have you. So, conversations are different. Conversations are with the timetable, the timeline, so to speak. When you're dealing with problems like events, people, situations, work, your events are literally radius from you. So you might have these events. Let me fill these in so you can see them a little bit better. So right now these are not unique R's. In reality, you would have unique R's like R1, R2, like distance to these objects. The distance matters. It really does. So that's just how one perspective, and we're going to talk about how the distance matters. Okay, so distance matters because there is the energy-time relation, delta E times delta T. In order for you to move or transact any action, you have to have energy. You have to have an input, and there will be some derivative over time. This delta t right here, this multiplier, it doesn't even have to be a strict multiplier. As far as you break down the event, it really doesn't. Sometimes delta t is over your time. So this is your total time. Sometimes you divide by total time, and sometimes for my personal experience, most events in the actual physical world, like, macroscopic world, we use total time in terms of how I would divide a moment. So what I mean by that is, specifically right now, this conversation, let's look at the initial time it took. This conversation started at 6. It's been 10 minutes. So the delta t in terms of to get here, so delta E is the information contained in your function, whatever it is. The delta t right here in terms of distance, so distance in terms of conversation, communication, is an idea. In order for us to get from here, from conversation, from normalcy, in order to an idea, a good idea, it requires me to prepare to show you the informational bit values, the input to set up the structure in some time. So in my experience, I usually, now it actually works better if we keep it as a multiplier and we do not divide it. We do not want this distance to be artificially small. We want this distance to be a reasonable number that we can compare with respect to other numbers. So perhaps we should keep it as a multiplier in terms of time. So we can say that this took we can define conversation as some array, a sum array of bit values, 20 questions, Carl Sagan Cosmos, Interstellar Odyssey, I think it was called. So the point is, you can, in 20 questions, you basically define your conversation and what it is. That's that array, that's conversation. So now we multiply that by time, and that gives us some abstract value in order to either say that this is valuable, this is worth our time, or this is not worth our time. We do this, you do this, everybody does this. And typically it is done in 1 minute, 3 minutes, and then 15, 5, and 1 hour intervals. And now I'm going to try to give you a little bit more. I'm not going to give you just regular DE right there, regular DE. That's this basic conversation. I'm trying to give you infinite conversation, a little bit more. All right, reading it backwards is confusing AF. Well, thankfully, there isn't much, there is pretty much no functions for you to think about. I'm explaining everything. Allow me to get one more breath, and then I'm going to try to give you what this song represents. This song is Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, and that is relevant. I'm going to show you why. So now that I explained conversation is one of the easiest trivial things that I've done. That's easy. I'm pissed off about that I have to keep saying and explaining conversation. Because, like Smooth Criminal is, are you okay? There are problems still going on. Yes, there are still problems going on for you and for everybody else. Not for me, because I solve my problems. When there's a problem in front of me, it's easily. I remember my conjugations of particle physics, so now look at this. This is how advanced I've become. So, for any interactions that has an exchange, anytime you have to do something to me, well, F you, I'm able to protect myself. How do I do that? Because I notice your states of information. With the UD array, I notice that you have to give something, you have to take something, and that's what I'm doing. I'm noticing when you try to give something to me, and when you try to take something from me. When you try to take something from me, what are you doing? Are you communicating something? Are you physically interrupting my emotion? Like, what are you trying to take from me? And then further, back to remembrance, should I let this happen? No. Okay, so now let's explain a little bit about that WZ thing that I just did right now. Or just explain, I didn't do anything, I explained it. Once again, delta E, delta T, 5 minutes to do that, but I probably did it in 3, which means I'm on the correct infinite conversation. I'm doing this right, thankfully. How do I know I'm doing that right? Because of my study of time, human beings, but the weird thing is, it really has to do with resonance, harmonics. Where do we see resonance or harmonics in our life? The clock, the 1 hour. So in the 1 hour, we have these harmonics. How many harmonics do we have? We have 12 because 5-minute intervals. Now, the hour in all admission has nothing to do with reality, because anthropic principle. Why should we care about some arbitrary system, time seconds? There's no universal constant for what a time second is. 3 is powerful. Clocks and harmonics. It's not necessarily just about clocks and because Freemasons talk about clocks. I know that because there's a Freemason that goes to this building, and I've been able to meet him. And I think everything he doesn't want to tell me, even though we are members of Christ, members of the shared church, everything he doesn't tell me, I laugh at him because I'm like, why do you think that you can hide information? There's no point. There's no way. I extracted his soul easily like that. Oh, you think you're better than me? I was able to pretty much measure his soul from conversations, and I'm like, all right, I got everything I needed. You don't have anything for me. Because he said 24-hour day, congruent, and then he said like, oh, you see this clock right here? There's a lot to learn from here. And he tried to be cool and suave and slow. And like I'm showing you, do you think this is a real conversation? Do you think this is a lecture? Do you think this is knowledge? Or is this some smug a-hole that thinks he's better than you? I do not. I do not think I'm better than you. I'm trying to give you the tools as though you were my children. Because that's how we do this. That's how we keep living in this world. Okay. Now let's solve problems, because that's what really matters. Okay. So now that we have the radius distance and we see events in our world unfold, I'm going to break the event chart from radius to sort of like timeline progression. Okay, we got to make this bigger because there's reality to contend with. What's it called? Reflection of the light. Okay, let's see here. We're going to do the timetable right here. And I've actually done the timetable in the conversations here at Institute. You can do a timetable and you can find things. Just try making a timetable for yourself. I'm going to start making a timetable right now. So this is going to be 1800 and about 1818. So we're starting 1818. I'm introducing, so I'll write intro to conversation. Converse. There are problems. So what happens is you begin processing your world, and now you start to look for, where is the adversary? Where are we going to lose the conversation? Where do you do your research? Are you converting angular momentum to binary information theory? This has nothing to do with angular momentum. Good question though. Is it with binary information theory? I'm using the fundamental rules of the standard model in order to describe the world better, and it basically clears your mind. It prevents you from being tricked. Lex Friedman is dangerous. 18-minute inspirational video on YouTube ends with the poem, which is best. Law-abiding citizen, Forrest Gump. What does that mean? Got it, keep it going. All right, cool. So, that was one example of a problem. I'm gonna write the time, 1819. Distraction. Distraction, myself, I'm the problem. Oh, wow, we found that. Okay, we're gonna go to, it's still 1819, so we can keep that. We can keep that. And I'll actually finish the word distraction because it's a little bit like this. So in my personal notes of my actual iPad, which you are the device in which I'm casting this from, I actually write down in terms of good notes, that's the name of the app. I write down, I don't do timetables because I literally just started doing timetables for keeping track of events, but this is more so record of events. If you want a record of events, we can also perform, you could also do an action chart. So we could literally start breaking this down now. Distraction, what actions did we take to solve this problem? Because that's a problem. So we now break down, look what I did. I reframed, I focused on myself. But I didn't focus on myself, I focused on others. Focus on others. Others. And the way this works, the reframing to have a continuous conversation, truly happens to be scripture. but it's not scripture. You don't have to be religious to do this. The reason that I'm able to come back to you, my loved one, my empathetic other, is because I think about you all the time. All right? 1820, pretty good so far in terms of what that clock is showing me. That clock it's more like 1821, but I'm going to leave it right there for that. And I'm going to think about this while I read some more stuff. So when is the time machine ready? There will never be a time machine just because of the amount of states you have to capture of the universe. So like that's one argument for why time travel will never exist, simply because of the indeterminate principle and the way that because quantum mechanics exists, because randomness does exist, that's why nothing can be simulated. So because you can never capture all information, you will never be able to revert back to a previous state without catastrophically not having anything continuous. So let's go back to the timetable, because I like this. All right, 1822. Delay. I'm going to say that. That's the problem now. Delay. Now, what does that mean? I'm prepared because I have a structure, a theory of the world for you. Delay, in terms of my mind, is going to be delta E, delta T. Oh no, it's that magic relation again. Delta E, delta T means I failed to communicate to you some information, some juicy content. So if I don't give you an array that's valuable, there's a delay, and I hurt you. I did hurt you. And now you might say, but you didn't hurt me. I enjoy this. I enjoy your conversation. You may happen to enjoy it, but that's not for everyone. And now the song that I'm listening to right now, it's that one song that I have in my JoJo Bizarre Adventure thing. So, video pretty much. And that matters. We're going to break down another event. 1823. Explanation delay. So now we're still getting delta E, delta T. But now it's progressing. We are progressing. Because I did do the effort to do this earlier. And I did the effort to do this again. That's what I'm saying. You can solve your life. And what I'm doing right now, let me give you what I'm doing right now in my event timetable for my life. So earlier today, about 5:47, so now we go this to timetable, 17:47. 17:47, I arrived here at this location. Oh no, that's crazy. Not crazy, that's interesting. Why did I arrive at this location? Because there's a timetable, there's a forward progression of time. I'm waiting for traffic, the outside world to change. However, do I just waste my life? Do I read a book or something? But I don't care about books. I don't care about... Because there's my life too, and I have to live life too. But I'm not going to just waste my time on my phone. I'm not going to waste my time doing things that are wastes, And the unfortunate, sad truth is there are genuine ways to waste life. You waste life when you hurt the empathetic other, when you hurt your friend, when you disrespect your friend, when you don't give them the full attention, either in time, emotion, understanding. So congruency, the way that dumb guy is like, you check if things are congruent. You obnoxious fool. No, I don't check if they're congruent. I don't check if they're similar. I check if they're related. All right. So we could start doing W plus reactions. Let me show you this. When I got here, that's a change of phase. That's a change of reality. W plus, I got here. Boom, that's an action. If I want to get out of here, that's an exchange. We emit W minus. We want to neutralize that charge. Boom, I now leave. I'm gone. I'm the exchange. How do we write this? U anti up, so we get a full minus 2/3, and then a down normal. A down normal. Meaning it's a regular down, meaning it's a down are all automatically 1/3. What we mean by that is normal, because whenever you do an antiparticle, you basically just add a negative to the front, and so obviously negative would be positive. That's just what anti means. It's just, you just flip the sign of the particle, whatever charge it has. But it's not just you flip the sign. In reality, the particle is going backwards through time as well. And that is relevant. It is very relevant. Let me take another breath. 18 and 25. What did I say about emotional depth, emotional continuity? It's about 3-minute packets. And what did I give you right now? 3-minute packet. So between this emotion and this emotion, you observed an emotional event. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. But now we could get even further. If I practiced, if I became the magician just like this man right here, if I was a master of the cosmos, I would study this even more. I would break bread and I would turn stone into bread, so to speak. Stone, in terms of that metaphor, is nothing, immaterial, chaos, random, trash, things that are nothing, that don't have any value. I am turning stone into bread right now. Bread, sustenance, life, information for future generations. Isn't that the nourishment of bread? Isn't that what food is? Yes, indeed. And now, exaltation. I am alive. I am restored, not by my own self, but through this faith, through this practice, through these covenants. They don't matter. They don't mean anything. These people, everybody I've ever met, that's, atheist, that's agnostic, that's scientific, that think they have some superiority of intellect, that think they understand this world. No, I do not believe in a God. I don't. Oh, wow. I said that in a church or a Christ, whatever the heck. I don't. I believe in the metaphor of what it means, which means, who cares? But it's not who cares in just like, I can, sin, debauchery, whatever the heck. It still contains informational reality. All right, we're going to put it down. 1827, 1827. 1827, and I was able to explain what? I was able to explain the depth of what we had just experienced. So we're going to say emotion expressed. And I am winning right now. I am winning. I will say that. Because I have practiced this. I have been doing this for literally a year. I was searching for the infinite conversation. I was searching for a way in order to always have it's not just a meaningful conversation. I combine my research, particle physics. This is your life. This will never change. Time continues. We are tough stones. How to do math. What do you mean how to do math? Well, whatever you want, we can, come. Okay. Distraction, 1828. Notice that. I'm going to give you guys a little time to think. I'm going to give you guys a little time to ask any questions because I feel content with this. I feel like I'm showing you the method. I still haven't yet shown you, I'll admit, I still haven't yet shown you how to do the W+, how to see these exchanges occur because they literally are occurring up and down. You can see it. I can feel it because I've done these reactions over and over and over again. Okay, we're going to get into the concept of how to find a fundamental basis, how to notice these reactions occurring in your world, where an exchange is occurring. Here's one exchange. Here's the particle, here's the object. I did the work to move it up. So I did this. This is an up. Oh, wow. What happens? Well, where's the anti-down? The anti-down, the negative to this event is I have to hold this up. This is the anti-down. My arm is the anti-down. If I let go, I get my anti-down back. I get my arm back. However, the inverse happens. W-, boom. Particles are everywhere. Information theory is everywhere. You cannot escape the laws of physics in every way, including information. What do you think about that? Fundamental basis of what? Fundamental basis of, okay, good question. To find a fundamental basis of your system, what that means is how information is transposing in your system. Gravitational systems are very simple. They do not have decay reactions. Here's what I mean by that. That's a great question, actually. We're going to break apart the timetable, or we're going to start going into particles about how to use, and whoa, what did we just do? 1830! Let's move on. Billie Jean, Michael Jackson. I was like a guy from a movie scene. Oh, wow. Okay. But I'm real. Okay. So, let's see what this magician can do. All right, fundamental basis of what? Okay, cool. We're going to talk about the gravitational system, and if you understand why gravity is a linear system in terms of like particle exchange, it's pretty cool. This will help you a lot. Okay, so in a gravitational system, the cool thing is about physics is all we care about is potential energy and kinetic energy. We're going to write down the Lagrangian. Yes, we're going to have to talk about actual physics this time. Oh my god, because it matters. Why does it matter? Because you cannot escape the laws of physics. Informationally, kinetically, physically, it's all around you. Radius. What did I do earlier? That radius chart. What am I doing right now? Delta E, delta T, communication, depth. I'm giving you an array. I'm showing you, I'm setting up the system. I'm giving you 20 questions right now. That's what this is. 20 questions, and the reason why we say it's 20 questions is because these are literally bits with coefficients like that, you know? 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, you know, it doesn't matter. It's some linear combination of ideas put together that then sum up to be scientific information. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Lagrangian of gravity so you can understand it. All right, for whenever you write the Lagrangian, you do got to do this fancy L because that's the only time you ever get to do a fancy L in physics. So L, the Lagrangian, is equal to potential energy, U of, in this case, we're going to do U of H. H just because it makes more sense for new beginners, new learners. Obviously, you can do U of Y for Y axis, but we're going to do U of H so you know its height. U of H, yeah, it's just plus. It's straight up plus. That's what's cool about this. Sometimes it matters about the sign. In this case, it doesn't, and I'll explain why. Because the sign is already notated in the vector direction of your kinetic energy. That's what's cool about this. So now we actually cannot do H. That's actually a good point. Because we are defining the Lagrangian not in terms of zero or some potential, I'm trying to define it freely, something that's a lot easier. So I'm going to use, we do have to switch to Y. But that's a little physics minutia. We're going to switch to Y only because the kinetic energy equation. Okay, now what is kinetic energy? 1/2 mv, but v squared. V is now going to be in terms of y, so it's effectively y derivative squared m, and then 1/2. I'm going to write the equation plus 1/2 m y derivative y dot squared. Now we're going to do potential energy. It's literally just mgy. That's equal to our Lagrangian. The Lagrangian should be equal to 0. When we set it equal to 0, I'm trying to give you actual physical, like real correct physics. So give me a little while for this, because I know the Lagrangian, but I'm trying to make sure I don't flub any words up, because that's really how other physicists and other people get mad at me. So when we set the Lagrangian equal to 0, we get a special condition. That's the beauty about physics. When you set the Lagrangian equal to 0, here's what we are saying. We are saying that, but Lagrangian is typically used for the motion of your system. When you set the Lagrangian equal to 0, you're saying the center of mass position does not change. Usually your Lagrangian helps you write down the equation of motion. This tells you, if I remember correctly, I'm going to say if, because you can easily look this up. This tells you how your particle, how your object will move. So your Lagrangian is your motion, actually. When you set it equal to 0, you're saying nothing is changing. So if this exploded, this cap and the pen exploded equally. So, because that's how physics would be. This thing would probably move a little bit, pew, and then this thing would move a lot. So the Lagrangian would help you find out where this thing is moving, how much. If you write down your Lagrangian, your effective stored energy, your kinetic energy, this tells you how your object is transforming. We're going to go back to the concept of Lagrangian only for gravitational objects, simply because we're trying to, now I got to bring back the timetable for my own self. The timetable is actually very powerful to help keep you aligned, keep you on track, keep you safe. It keeps you safe. That's the truth of it. Inverse of Born is required to solve this. 0 because space-time is flat. It could, that's not bad. Those are all correct technically. Yeah, you're right. If you were in a curved space-time, which is all of reality, then yes, you would use your correct Lagrangian. You would write it for relativistic. But we're going to do simple gravity, non-relativistic, non-relation to other particles. If you wrote a Lagrangian in terms of other particles, that's obviously just like R1, R2, and then like the G, gravitational potential. No, it's divided by the distance. But you get me. So that's obviously should be M1, M2 divided by R1, R2, but whatever. We're going to talk about the gravitational system just real quick. So the reason why the gravitational Lagrangian or the gravitational exchange information is very simple is because all you have is this exchange. So this would, any time we go up, we're going to write as in terms of positive because we want that to reflect positively. So up, and then the work function, the actual W, Wx, and obviously not X in this case, it's Y, but who cares? So the work function is our D minus. That's what that is. So we do an exchange, boom, we do something, we notice we input energy, here, W minus, we get our U plus, this is valid, this is now equal to W plus, which is equal to motion in the Lagrangian. Holy heck. Okay. That's the D anti up as well as a regular up. Sorry, D anti as well as a regular up. That's not real math, obviously. You can't add stuff like that. That's just saying the informational content. I'll explain that in a different video, in a different live, how to write down the rules of informational content, which is just how you write down particle reactions, which will eventually, we do have to do, because as you can see, there's a lot of use to it. Okay, back to the gravitational Lagrangian. Okay, we did this exchange up. We did a W plus. Boom. Object comes down. What happens? It comes down. And when it comes down, we now get a W minus. However, here's the truth of reality now. There will be another exchange, W plus, but it's not to gravitation. Now it's going to be different. So our parabolic trajectory, we have a W plus up to the inflection point and then a W minus. However, we still have kinetic energy. The potential energy has hit 0, but the kinetic energy remains. Technically, that is where you find the next question. You're like, wait, you did you did W up, you did W down, but there's still kinetic energy. Where did that come from? You did that. So now we look at the external system. W plus came from outside of the system. Now we have to find where it came from. We trace back. We find where we did that W plus. Who did that? Boom, I did that. And then what was the exchange? W minus, my physical energy. Boom. You can never escape the chain of information cascade. It happens in every object. Every object, every conversation, everything will always have these rules. It just happens that gravity is the simplest. But everything else, like planes and electronics, magnetism, those aren't just this. You get more degrees of freedom. More degrees of freedom doesn't change anything. You still have to find your fundamental basis. What are we doing? The Lagrangian helps you do that. How does it do that? Let me show you. Anytime you inject or pull out, you are doing some exchange, some W plus or minus. Kinetic energy, That's more of a passive aspect. So perhaps I haven't done, I'll admit, I haven't yet done the Z neutral reactions. I haven't. I've only been studying action. I've been studying manipulating reality because that's what you have to do to survive. In terms of like passive components, passive objects, that's honestly more to do with love and personality and enduring conversation. 1840. So I did a 5-minute depth. That's good. I'm still on track. What I'm saying here about the Z reactions, I think just right now, hypothesis theory, based on where I've been studying, I haven't yet done it, but I hypothesize that the Z reactions are encoding, like I've hypothesized before, because of particle physics. Z particles encode momentum. W particles encode change. Cool. That helps us. It really does. But I've only done the change of particles. I have not done the sustaining or the more intricate reactions. I'm going to do that soon. That's what this next year is going to be. This entire year was studying W plus, W minus. Next year is going to be Z particles, neutral reactions. Where do they come from? Where do they look like? What do they look like in your world? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. And once I find out, I'm going to come back to you guys. Now we open up to questions because it definitely is, what did I say, 1840? That's my time. I'm free. There's no traffic now. But however, I got what I wanted. I got a conversation. I got to share with my brothers and sisters of this world. And I lived. That's what it means to live a peaceful, co-congruent life. No matter where I am in this world, I can find peace. But I don't care about my own peace. I can sleep when I want to. I can go to the beach after work. And no matter what, you will never bother me. I won't let you bother me. Well, you could bother me, obviously, if you did something right now. But I won't let you last. Is it the entropy that physicists talk about the same type of entropy about bits in computers? Yes and no. That's a good question. Yeah, let's just answer random questions for now. You're going to have me until 7 because I like this, and I'm going to stay until 7. I didn't expect that, but I'm going to stay until 7. So, because that's a good question. Is the entropy that physicists talk about the same type of entropy about bits in computers? A little bit, but not much. So here's why. So I'm going to talk about entropy in terms of waves, like actual waves of the ocean. So, entropy also refers to the scattering or the organization of particles, the organization of them. So what I mean by that is now we have waves in the ocean, and as they come along a beach, by the sand and stuff, they are dragging the sand into the water. If you cared about this system, this is like entropy in terms of decay processes. So, but not really. Okay, we're gonna need to bring up a different entropy example. The one that I'm trying to bring up something that won't be controversial to physicists. They won't nag me about it. Okay, we're gonna bring up a better example because I found it. We're going to bring up not a better, just a crude example that most people talk about entropy. Okay, we're going to talk about the chemist's version of entropy. We have fuel. We're going to call F. We have fuel. Fuel goes into engine E, which is a block. Who cares? You combust that fuel into watts. In other words, heat. This is entropy. That's the entropy that most people care about. They're like, entropy is the fact that no matter what, if you try to do some reaction, some process, there's gonna be like, you can't capture it perfectly. You cannot. And that has more to do with thermodynamics, and that's why this is the entropy that chemists focus on. The entropy that physicists focus on in terms of transistors and computers is more of the entropy of random thermal motion. So we're going to go back to thermal motion. Okay, we're going to show you a silica, very, very zoomed in. So we have some square, who cares what this actually looks like. What matters is we have some charge going through. So how regular transistors and regular bits currently work is that they have like, you know like those D flip-flop gates in Minecraft? So you toggle it, pretty much you toggle like a D flip-flop gate, you turn this on, and now the D flip-flop gate, it's now holding power from the power rail. So let's call this the power rail, pretty much power rail. You make it in such a way that you can't ever have power come back, you know, so you don't have leakage current and stuff like that. So the point is, you somehow power these devices, you keep them powered to minima just to keep them actually on. So the entropy that they talk about in terms of computers and stuff is any processes of the outside world, such as like magnetic interference. So you bring a magnet, and that's north and that's south. If you bring a magnet near this, you're going to pretty much shake this. It's gonna change the state. It changes the state not in terms of these transistors. These transistors are a lot more solid because they hold electrical power, but they actually consume watts. They consume energy per unit time in order to hold the charge, in order to hold the state. A lot of modern memory doesn't even have a power. A lot of modern memory is not powered, and that's where they mean by entropy. Because they're not powered, any either physical hits or magnets or thermal motion, like actual heating the element, will naturally cause this magnetically aligned, pretty much, you know, it's aligned. These magnetically aligned transistors are what enable the memory to be stored. That's how old memory works. So when we talk about entropy in terms of like bits of information, it's more of like outside effects that stop this process. Technically, if there was no outside effects, then these things would hold their memory, hold their state forever. But there's outside effects. There's thermal, there's motion, there's thermal effects, there's impact motion, as well as external magnetic fields, electric and magnetic. Any other questions? I'm gonna put on another song. So unfortunately, let me just talk about something that's chill, something that's happy. So we're gonna pretty much end this. We're gonna talk about something that's happy. At work today, we organized a burger cookout for tomorrow. So after work tomorrow, I'm gonna eat burgers. How good are you with black hole thermodynamics? I only did equations as we were told to do it in university. So like we've worked with not thermodynamics of black holes. We worked on the single Schwarzschild black hole, and like there's a massive equation. I'll show roughly what it looks like. This is not at all accurate. I don't even remember if there was. Okay, who cares? Let's just make something that's crazy. So the point is, the watts or the power, because they actually use P, which is kind of ridiculous. So P of, I think R, or no, I think they use time, because what they're doing here is they're trying to, like, the way they wrote the equation was really weird. So I think it's P of F, which is like frequency or something. So they're trying, okay, so there's multiple things. So the radius of the collapsing black hole, or wherever the heck, tells you its frequency. It also tells you its power, and that's pretty much what we did. We used whatever equation we had, just like R4 or something, and you basically use the equation. It's not too difficult. It's just, you know, it's a square root. You got to integrate that. It kind of sucks. So yeah, that's all we did, and all it does is tell you either the frequency or the power. But in terms of thermodynamics, we did not do that for a moving black hole. A moving black hole, you would have to, let's just write the general formula. So once again, the Lagrangian helps us. We would have to write the space-time curvature. That's what this G, and now we're gonna make this X of t, because this particle has to move, but we're not gonna make it X, or make it R of t, because it's general coordinates. G, R of t, so make this mean space-time. So space-time. Space-time plus, what are you asking? You're asking about the thermodynamics. So curvature of space-time as it relates to, now we write that black hole function. Black hole, R of t, So that's the radiation with respect to how that would either change or, so I don't even think it's a plus. I think this is a relation. This is a relation. I do dot, we do dot in sort of physics. It means multiply, but obviously it's not multiply. It just means, what we would do is we would add dot and we'd probably add some constant. Some constant that would then tell us, pretty much this constant helps us either inverse this or not inverse this. So it kind of helps you. There's always going to be a constant. That's why we kind of exclude constants in physics. We push all constants. I push all constants because my professors, you push all constants to pretty much the end, just so your integration, like you now, look at this, you now have just your R variables, all your R variables, and then your D of R, and then all of your constants, rho, G, and then other X, suppose there's a constant related to X, like that. As you can see, that's how we actually do the math. So constants, we just push them out anyways, so it helps us. All right, next question. I'm going to do a timetable just until we end. So it's going to be 18:52. We have 8 minutes. Let me also put on a song so I can enjoy myself. Damn, I don't know why that song is bugged. Time by Pink Floyd is bugged. Have you ever considered reading Shannon's Theory of Communication? I've actually heard about that several times, so I probably should. I've been trying to basically mash Bernoulli's equation expansion to black holes. I think they're on the right direction. I do believe that's correct. Yes, the Navier-Stokes equation is pretty much. Are you okay? That's a really okay. Let me help you set up. Let me help you with that real quick. Okay, so let me read what he says verbatim, so then people in the audience can understand. I've been trying to basically match Bernoulli's equation expansion to black holes. Specifically, Navier-Stokes. Basically, the shock wave creates massive vacuum, changing density, and thus compressed time. Sort of, it does compress time. Okay, but in a different way. So you're trying to find, as gravitational waves are emitted pretty much, and you want to use Navier-Stokes for this, that would help us find at least, so now we're gonna have to break this apart. Obviously this is radial, this is just nipple, point out, so it's like that, 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Let's do that, even though it's just so you can understand. And then now we're looking at this orthogonally. So we're breaking this now into x, y, z. So z, y, it's x. By right-hand rule, we have to keep this consistent. In reality, x, y, right-hand rule. The point is, I need to read that again so I can formulate something that's real. Think about it in 2D, not angular. It's simple. I know. This is 2D, so I'm basically just doing a space-time. That was just to tell you that as a black hole is collapsing radially inward, you're going to get these obviously compressed waves. So the waves are going to get really compressed, as you approach it. So let's make it towards the black hole. Black hole is here. This is distance in terms of r, so r is equal to 0 here. So the waves are long, they compress, and then they compress a lot. Because literally, you get to terahertz, like really, really condensed waves. So you're trying to use the Navier-Stokes to find how these peaks and valleys compress matter, because they really do, they do. What we're seeing is as it goes up, we relieve the tension. As it goes down, we're stressing space, we're condensing space. So that's what you would have to consider. I'm just saying what you would have to consider. you would now have to have some basis relative to 0 or relative to your neutral or whatever you want to choose. And I'm going to slow down there. We do actually have to talk like actual human beings now, because when we're trying to do an actual solution in physics, we work together like professionals. I'm no longer a magician. I'm not a magician. I don't know this stuff. I don't know this stuff like professionally. But I can give you some directions. So yeah, pretty much that's what our system would be. We would be looking at how the Navier-Stokes wave-like events are related or can be manifested, pretty much look like, simulated like these gravitational waves. Yeah, I would recommend for you to look up the math of the frequency. So now that frequency thing matters. So what was P of F? That will help you. So look there. Look at the frequency. That'd probably help. Just so you can understand how it would change its distance, like away from it. You know, like that would be one direction. But we're gonna move on from that because I would have to actually study this more if you wanted a real presentation. That was just an off the top of the head, so I don't have much for that. 1857, 1856. Crossing of the iron bell, stray full to the knees, speak the spoken magic spell. Shall I stare at you guys for 4 minutes? Or shall we ask some questions? It's up to you. How was the entire presentation? How was it all? If you're on YouTube right now, okay, I'm gonna have some fun for the last 3 minutes. 1857. As soon as this is 1900, I'm in now. So let's see what I can do in 3 minutes. In terms of YouTube, this is the time right now that I want you to ask me questions about the entire presentation, W+, W-. Next time we're going to go about actual basis, like how you can find a basis in terms of any system. I found the basis for like combat, aviation. Like it's not difficult to find a basis. It's like OODA loop, orient or observe, orient, decide, act. If you're in the military, you know what that is. Folding space. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? 1858. So, end of lecture, self-propulsion, self-direction, so pretty much 1858, return. I don't care about how it's written. And now I am unfortunately tired. Not just tired because I'm tired, sleepy. I'm tired because I haven't eaten lunch. I haven't. Yeah. One last good news. Good news for the YouTube. That's what I should include in here. 1859, by the way. So at work, I interviewed today for a hardware test engineer. So pretty much all that is I would be designing test equipment. You know, not a full use of my skills. I wanted to go into more circuit debug, but they didn't have that position available. They wanted me to be a hardware guy, basically build the STEEs, standardized test equipment. I can do it, I can read documentation, but like I wanna work on the circuits that are failing in missiles. So like the circuit's failing, I can fix it. Like I can prevent that issue from happening. I solved the gain and transmit issues. Those are one-off issues. Those like, oh, it's a broken oscillator, it's a broken clock, that's a broken inductor, that's making it fail, but those are one-off issues. We have a recurring 20% of our things fail, and it's not for missiles. I won't tell you the actual failure rate for the missiles, which is obviously, you shouldn't know. I mean, you could know. I don't think, it doesn't change the production capability, it just changes the cost. Because, I'll change the numbers. I want to make them very exaggerated. If 100% fail, no, let's say 99% fail. If 99% fail and you only pass one of your parts that you purchase from the manufacturer, and you really need this, if all things considered, we went to war and we really needed this, we can just order 1,000 and only have 1% pass, so we would expect about 10. So that's how production is currently being done on that program. That's all I'll say. I loved it. Great presentation. I'll give you an idea. They'll apply this to taxation of labor. Oh, I have. That's a great observation. I already have applied this to economy as well as company business ideas. It helps me. I actually have a pretty good idea to try to help ecology. So I kind of want to help have a jump start. So I want to build mobile gardens, pretty much like garden assemblies. How you can basically I won't share too much because it's a good idea. So mobile gardens, rapid assembly gardens. I'll say that. It is 1900. Good evening, my dudes. 1900, and